The Mercy's Dawn hung in space like a pristine white sentinel, its sleek hull adorned with the Universal Medical Cross glowing softly against the backdrop of distant stars. Chief Medical Officer Diana Reyes stood at the main observation deck, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of the nearby nebula as she reviewed the day's patient logs on her neural display. The ship represented the pinnacle of human medical achievement, a floating city of healing housing over 3,000 patients from 17 different species. Its quantum regeneration chambers could regrow lost limbs, while its genetic reconstruction labs worked tirelessly to cure inherited diseases that had plagued alien species for millennia. Dr. Reyes called Lieutenant James Foster from his sensor station, his voice carrying an edge that made Diana's spine stiffen. "We're picking up multiple signatures approaching at FTL speeds. They're not broadcasting any recognition codes." Diana moved swiftly to the tactical display, her white medical uniform swishing softly against the polished deck. The approaching vessels appeared as angry red dots, their formation suggesting military precision rather than random encounter. "Have they responded to hails?" "Negative, ma'am." And Foster's voice cracked. "They're powering weapon systems." The first shot came without warning, a beam of sickly green energy that sliced through the Mercy's Dawn's defensive shields like they weren't there. The ship's AI immediately identified the attackers. Kraxan Empire warships, their distinctive blade-shaped hulls now clearly visible as they emerged from FTL. "This is impossible," Diana whispered, even as she activated emergency protocols. "We're a medical vessel. We've treated their own people." Indeed, there were currently 47 Kraxan patients aboard, survivors of a mining accident in the Centauri sector. The ship shuddered under another impact. "All medical staff, initiate protocol sanctuary," Diana commanded through the ship-wide comm. "Begin emergency patient evacuation. Priority to critical care and pediatric wards." Her voice remained steady, years of emergency room experience kicking in. Throughout the massive vessel, medical teams sprang into action. In the xenobiological ward, Dr. Raj Patel and his team worked frantically to stabilize their most vulnerable patients for emergency transport. The quantum stasis pods, designed for exactly this scenario, hummed to life, their energy fields embracing the critical patients in protective cocoons. "They're targeting our medical databases," reported Security Chief Catherine Wheeler, her hands flying over the defense controls. "This isn't random, Diana. They're after something specific." Another blast rocked the ship, and Diana watched in horror as the entire pediatric wing went dark on her status display. 200 children of various species, all in need of specialized care, now protected only by backup systems. "Launch all evacuation pods," Diana ordered, her voice tight with controlled fury. "Transmit emergency coordinates to the nearest Federation outposts." She paused, then added, "And make sure every pod's black box is recording. The galaxy needs to witness this." The Mercy's Dawn's hull groaned as another volley struck home. Diana watched as her medical teams performed miracles under fire, moving patients, securing vital research, protecting the vulnerable with their own bodies when necessary. She saw Dr. Isabella Santos, their head of tenogenetics, destroying her own groundbreaking research rather than let it fall into Kraxan hands. "Primary life support failing," the ship's AI announced calmly. "Structural integrity at 37%. Diana made her way to the nearest emergency console, sending one final encrypted burst transmission to Earth Command. It contained not just sensor logs and damage reports, but something far more damning: detailed scans showing the surgical precision of the Kraxan attack. They weren't just destroying a medical ship. They were methodically erasing something they feared. "Attention all remaining personnel," Diana broadcast, her voice unwavering. "This is your CMO. Abandon ship. I repeat, abandon ship." She watched as the last evacuation pods launched, carrying the hopes, lives, and evidence of this atrocity to safety. As Diana made her way to her own escape pod, she passed the ship's memorial wall, A holographic display showing every life saved aboard the Mercy's Dawn over its 5 years of service. Thousands of faces of all species, including Kraxan, smiled back at her. Each one represented not just a patient, but a testament to humanity's commitment to healing all who needed aid, regardless of origin. The ship's final moments were marked not by explosions or dramatic firefights, but by the methodical destruction of everything it represented. The Kraxan weapons targeted each medical bay, each research lab, each database core with terrifying precision. From her escape pod, Diana watched the Mercy's Dawn die. But even as tears rolled down her cheeks, she knew this wasn't the end. Humanity had built this ship as a symbol of peace and healing. Its destruction would become a symbol of something else entirely. A reminder that while humans dedicated themselves to saving lives, they would move heaven and earth to punish those who violated that sacred trust. As her pod's emergency beacon activated, Diana began recording her official report. The galaxy would soon learn that attacking the human hospital ship wasn't just an act of war. It was a fundamental mistake that would reshape the balance of power among the stars. Fleet Admiral Jonathan Pryce stood before the United Earth Defense Council, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display showing the final moments of the Mercy's Dawn. The circular chamber was silent save for the soft hum of quantum processors analyzing the attack data in real time. 6,742 souls, Pryce began, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. Medical personnel, patients, researchers, including 47 Kraxan citizens. He gestured, and the hologram shifted to show detailed casualty reports. Thanks to the heroic actions of Chief Medical Officer Reyes and her staff, we managed to evacuate 83%. But that's not why I'm here today. The Admiral's cybernetic left eye, a reminder of his own battles, flashed as it connected to the chamber's display systems. New images appeared. Tactical analyses of the Kraxan attack pattern, weapons signatures, and targeting data. This wasn't a random act of aggression, Pryce continued. The Kraxan strike force knew exactly what they were looking for. He brought up Dr. Isabella Santos' partially recovered research data. The Mercy's Dawn wasn't just treating patients. It was on the verge of a breakthrough in universal genetic therapy. Counselor Amara Okafor leaned forward, her traditional Nigerian formal wear contrasting with the modern surroundings. Explain the significance, Admiral. Pryce nodded to Dr. Takeshi Yamamoto, the head of Earth's Sinological Research Division, who stood from his seat among the advisors. Dr. Santos' team had developed a method of genetic modification that could work across species barriers, Yamamoto explained. Imagine being able to cure genetic diseases not just in humans, but in any sentient species. The implications for galactic medicine would be revolutionary. The chamber erupted in murmured discussions. Admiral Pryce waited for silence before continuing. The Kraxan didn't just attack a hospital ship. They attempted to erase research that could have saved billions of their own people. Our intelligence suggests why. He brought up classified reports from deep within Kraxan space. The Kraxan Empire maintains power through genetic superiority, Pryce explained. Their ruling class is genetically engineered to be stronger, faster, and theoretically smarter than their subordinate castes. Dr. Santos' research would have made that advantage obsolete. You're suggesting this was a political attack. Counselor Marcus Bishop's voice carried both skepticism and growing anger. I'm stating it as fact. Pryce's cybernetic eye flashed again, projecting intercepted Kraxan communications. They saw human medical advancement as a threat to their entire social order, so they tried to destroy it. The chamber's AI compiled real-time analysis of the evidence, confirmation percentages floating beside each data point. The case was becoming undeniable. What are you proposing, Admiral? Council Chair Richard Martinez's question cut through the tension. Pryce straightened, his uniform gleaming under the chamber's lights. The Kraxan believe they can attack a medical vessel, murder innocent patients, and face no consequences. They think humanity's dedication to healing makes us weak. His voice hardened. I propose we show them how wrong they are." The Admiral gestured, and the holographic display transformed into a comprehensive military response plan. Operation Righteous Shield. A coordinated strike to cripple the Kraxan Empire's military capability while minimizing civilian casualties. We'll target their military installations, weapons factories, and command centers, and their genetic engineering facilities. Counselor Okafor asked quietly. "We leave them intact," Price replied firmly. "We're not them. This isn't about revenge. It's about justice, and sending a message to any species that might consider similar actions in the future." Dr. Yamamoto stepped forward again. "There's something else you need to see." He brought up data from the Mercy's Dawn's backup servers. Before destroying her research, Dr. Santos encrypted and transmitted her findings to multiple secure locations. The Kraxan failed. The breakthrough they feared. We can replicate it. The implications hung heavy in the chamber. Humanity now held the power not just to punish the Kraxan, but to fundamentally transform their society. The question was, what would they do with that power? Admiral Price watched the council members' reactions carefully. "I'm not just asking for authorization to launch a military response. I'm asking for permission to demonstrate what humanity truly stands for. We'll strike hard enough to ensure this never happens again, but we'll also show mercy where they showed none." He brought up one final image, the Mercy's Dawn's memorial wall, showing all the lives saved aboard the vessel. "We built that ship to heal. Its destruction will not make us forget that purpose. We'll have justice, but we'll also continue our mission. For every patient they killed, we'll save 1,000 more. That's the true strength of humanity." The council chamber fell silent as the members contemplated the Admiral's words. The decision they would make today wouldn't just determine the fate of the Kraxan Empire. It would define humanity's role in the galaxy for generations to come. As the council began their deliberations, Price's cybernetic eye recorded everything. Somewhere out there, Diana Reyes and the other survivors of the Mercy's Dawn waited for humanity's response. He silently promised them it would be worthy of their sacrifice. The Quantum Development Complex in Singapore hummed with barely contained energy as Dr. Nathaniel Zhang stood before his life's work. The massive quantum forge occupied an entire underground chamber, its crystalline structure pulsing with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. The Kraxan thought they were erasing a threat, Nathaniel explained to the gathered military observers. Instead, they gave us the final piece we needed. He gestured to the holographic displays surrounding the forge, each showing data recovered from the Mercy's Dawn's quantum shields. Commander Olivia Blackwood, Earth Fleet's head of weapons development, stepped closer to examine the readings. Their weapons shouldn't have penetrated those shields so easily, she noted, her artificial hand unconsciously clenching. Exactly. Nathaniel brought up detailed analyses of the Kraxan weapon signatures. They weren't using conventional energy weapons. They'd developed a way to phase their attacks through quantum states, essentially attacking the shield in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The forge pulsed again, and a new set of equations materialized in the air. But in doing so, they revealed their own technological foundations. We've reverse-engineered their approach and improved upon it. Throughout the vast facility, similar breakthroughs were occurring. In the biological research wing, Dr. Regina Patel had taken Dr. Santos' rescued genetic research in an unexpected direction. "We're not just looking at medical applications anymore," she explained to her team. "We're developing targeted biological defenses that can protect our ships and crews from any form of quantum radiation." The industrial scale of humanity's response was staggering. The orbital shipyards above Mars had tripled production, constructing vessels that incorporated each new breakthrough. Quantum forges like Nathaniel's were being built in secret facilities across Earth and its colonies, each contributing to what was becoming the most significant technological leap in human history. "The real innovation isn't the weapons," Nathaniel continued, leading the observers to a secure testing chamber. "It's how we're combining everything we've learned." He activated a demonstration sequence, and a miniature version of the new shield system sprang to life. The observers watched in amazement as test weapons, including exact replicas of the Kraxan attacks, splashed harmlessly against the barrier. "We've created a defensive system that adapts in real time," Nathaniel explained. "It learns from every attack, growing stronger with each engagement." Commander Blackwood's eyes narrowed. "You've weaponized evolution itself." "In a manner of speaking." Nathaniel smiled grimly. "But we're not stopping there." He brought up designs for the new flagship of the Earth fleet, the Justice's Dawn, a vessel that carries both the most advanced weapons we've ever created and a fully functional medical bay that rivals the one we lost. The design was beautiful in its duality, sleek lines concealing unprecedented firepower, while prominent medical bays demonstrated humanity's unwavering commitment to healing. It was a ship that could both wage war and offer mercy, often in the same breath. In orbital stations across the solar system, crews were already training on the new systems. Lieutenant Commander Kira Patel, no relation to Regina, ran her team through another simulation of the quantum targeting systems. "The key is precision," she instructed. "We're not here for wholesale destruction. Every shot must count. Every target must matter." The simulation showed a Kraxan military installation. The new weapons could reduce the entire facility to atoms, but instead, the training focused on surgical strikes that would disable without unnecessary casualties. It was a new kind of warfare, one that reflected humanity's determination to maintain its principles even in conflict. Back in Singapore, Nathaniel activated the Forge's main sequence. Energy cascaded through the quantum matrices as the first full-scale weapon core took shape. "We're not just building weapons," he told the observers. "We're creating tools for justice." Commander Blackwood watched the process with a mixture of awe and solemn understanding. "How long until the fleet is ready?" "The first wave of ships will be complete in 3 days," Nathaniel replied. "The Justice's Dawn itself will be ready in 5. But there's something else you need to see." He led them to a heavily secured chamber deep within the complex. Inside, a single quantum processor hummed quietly. "This is Isabel," Nathaniel explained. "The most advanced AI we've ever created, built using principles we learned from studying the Kraxan attack patterns." The AI's holographic interface shimmered to life, displaying a representation of Dr. Isabella Santos, the researcher who had sacrificed her work rather than let it fall into Kraxan hands. "Isabel doesn't just coordinate our weapon systems," Nathaniel continued. "She ensures we never lose sight of our humanitarian principles, even in the heat of battle." I maintained the balance. Isabel's voice was calm and assured. "Every tactical decision is weighed against both military necessity and ethical considerations. We will have justice, but we will not become what we're fighting against." Commander Blackwood studied the AI thoughtfully. "The Kraxan destroyed one symbol of human advancement, so we created another." "Multiple others," Nathaniel corrected. "Everything you've seen today is just the beginning." The Kraxan thought they were eliminating a threat to their power. Instead, they sparked an evolution in human technology, strategy, and purpose. Throughout the complex, humanity's response continued to take shape. Engineers fine-tuned quantum weapons that could disable without destroying. Medical teams integrated advanced healing technologies into combat vessels, and in secure servers across the planet, Isabel's consciousness expanded, preparing to guide humanity's fleet in its mission of justified retribution. The arsenal was almost ready. Soon, the galaxy would witness what happened when humanity's dedication to healing was matched by its capacity for righteous action. Admiral Victoria Okonjo stood on the bridge of the Justice's Dawn, watching as her fleet emerged from quantum space into the Kraxan's home system. 300 ships, each representing the pinnacle of human military innovation, moved into perfect formation. The flagship's quantum sensors painted a detailed picture of the enemy forces, twice their number. But technology wasn't always about quantity. All ships, battle stations, Victoria commanded, her voice carrying to every vessel in the fleet. "Remember our mission. Precision. Control. Justice." The The words appeared on every command console, a reminder of why they had come. The Kraxan response was immediate and predictable. A wall of warships moving to intercept, their weapons already charging. Victoria allowed herself a small smile as Isabel, the fleet's eye commander, highlighted tactical displays across the bridge. "They're using the same weapon configurations that destroyed the Mercy's Dawn," Isabel reported, her holographic form standing beside Victoria. "Exactly as we anticipated." "Deploy countermeasures," Victoria ordered. Across the fleet, the new quantum shields shimmed into existence, their adaptive matrices ready to meet the Kraxan's supposedly unstoppable weapons. The first volley from the Kraxan fleet lit up space like an artificial aurora. Green energy beams, the same type that had torn through the Mercy's Dawn's defenses, struck the human ships head-on. They dissipated harmlessly against the new shields. "Shields holding at 100%, reported Commander Rajkumar from Tactical. "The adaptive algorithms are already cataloging their attack patterns." Victoria nodded. "Launch Operation Prism." The Justice's Dawn's main weapon array came online, but instead of conventional weapons, it emitted a complex series of quantum pulses. Similar pulses emerged from every ship in the fleet, creating an intricate web of energy that enveloped the Kraxan forces. "Quantum disruption field active," Isabel confirmed. "Their shield harmonics are destabilizing." The Kraxan fleet's formation began to waver as their most advanced defensive systems simply stopped working. Yet Victoria noted with satisfaction that their life support and basic operations remained unaffected. This wasn't about destruction, it was about precision. "Target their weapon systems only," Victoria commanded. "Disable, don't destroy." The human fleet moved with surgical precision, their new quantum weapons striking key points on the Kraxan vessels. Weapons arrays went dark, propulsion systems powered down to minimal levels, but not a single ship was destroyed. On the Kraxan command ship, High Admiral Kex watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically neutered. His own weapons, the same ones that had torn through the Mercy's Dawn, were now worse than useless against the human shields. "Target their medical bay," he ordered desperately, falling back on the tactics that had worked before. A dozen Kraxan ships focused their fire on the Justice's Dawn's prominent medical facilities. Victoria allowed the attack to continue for a full minute, letting the Kraxan forces exhaust themselves against the impenetrable shields. Then she opened a channel to Kex's ship. "This is Admiral Victoria Okonjo of the Earth Fleet," she announced, her voice carrying to every ship in both fleets. "You just attempted to destroy another medical facility. But this time, something was different, wasn't it?" She gestured, and Isabel transmitted detailed scans of the Kraxan fleet's current status to their command ships. "Your weapons are neutralized. Your shields are compromised. We could destroy your entire fleet right now." She paused, letting that sink in. "But that's not why we're here." The Justice's Dawn's medical bay activated, its capabilities clearly visible to the Kraxan sensors. "We're here because you attacked a hospital ship. You murdered patients. You tried to destroy research that could have helped your own people." Victoria's voice hardened. "Now you're going to witness the difference between your kind of power and ours." At her command, the human fleet began transmitting Dr. Santos' completed research to every ship in the Kraxan fleet. "This is the breakthrough you tried to destroy," Victoria explained. "The genetic therapy that could free your lower castes from their engineered limitations. We've not only recovered it, we've perfected it." She watched as confusion spread through the Kraxan command channels. "You could have had this freely," she continued. "The Mercy's Dawn would have shared it with your people, just as it shared its healing with everyone who needed it. Instead, you chose violence." The quantum disruption field tightened, and more Kraxan systems went dark. "Your fleet is disabled. Your primary military installations are about to experience similar failures. But not a single life will be lost, unless you force us to take them." Victoria stood from her command chair, her tall frame casting a shadow across the tactical displays. "This is your choice, Admiral Kex. Surrender now, and we'll help you rebuild your society into something better. Resist, and we'll dismantle your empire piece by piece, showing the same surgical precision you showed in destroying our hospital ship." The bridge fell silent as they waited for the Kraxan response. Victoria knew that somewhere out there, the survivors of the Mercy's dawn were watching this moment. Justice would be served, but it would be served humanity's way, with both strength and mercy. Finally, Kex's voice came over the channel, strained but clear. "The Kraxan Empire surrenders." Victoria nodded to Isabel, who began transmitting detailed instructions to the Kraxan fleet. "A wise choice," Victoria replied. "Now let us show you what real power looks like. The power to heal, to improve, to make things better." She turned to her medical chief. "Deploy the emergency response teams. Let's show them how a proper medical ship operates." As human medical vessels moved to assist the Kraxan ships, Victoria reflected on the symmetry of the moment. The Kraxan had destroyed a symbol of human healing. Now that same healing would transform their entire civilization. 1 year after the surrender of the Kraxan Empire, the Stellar Memorial Hospital Station hung in orbit above their homeworld. Its design echoed that of the destroyed Mercy's dawn, but on a far grander scale. Chief Medical Officer Diana Reyes stood in her new office, watching as ships from across the galaxy brought patients seeking treatment. "The latest genetic therapy results are in," Dr. Regina Patel announced, entering the office with a holographic display of data. 97% success rate across all Kraxan castes. "The genetic barriers are breaking down exactly as predicted." Diana nodded, her eyes tracking a particular group of patients in the arrival bay. Former Kraxan leadership, now working alongside the very people they once considered inferior. And the social integration programs. Exceeding expectations, came the voice of Isabel, the AI whose consciousness now extended throughout the station. "The dissolution of genetic castes has accelerated cultural change. The Kraxan are rebuilding their society based on merit rather than engineered superiority." Through the vast observation windows, Diana could see the transformed Kraxan homeworld below, where once stood symbols of military might. Now research centers and hospitals reached toward the stars. The quantum technology that had won the brief war had been repurposed, creating a medical infrastructure that served all species equally. Admiral Victoria Okonjo materialized via quantum projection, her form shimmering slightly. "The last of the military conversion projects is complete," she reported. "Every Kraxan warship has been retrofitted into a medical or scientific vessel. Their weapons facilities now produce surgical equipment and medical scanners." Diana touched a control panel, bringing up images of the new fleet. The ships that had once threatened galactic peace now sailed between stars on missions of healing. It was a transformation that few had believed possible a year ago. "We're ready for the ceremony," Victoria continued. "The survivors are gathering." Diana made her way to the station's Grand Assembly Hall, where thousands had gathered for the dedication. The survivors of the Mercy's dawn sat in places of honor, their presence a testament to both tragedy and triumph. Above them, a new memorial wall displayed not just the lives saved aboard the original ship, but all those helped since. Dr. Nathaniel Jom, architect of the quantum technologies that had made victory possible, stood at the podium. "1 year ago, we faced a choice," he began. "We could answer destruction with destruction, or we could forge a different path. Today, we see the results of choosing justice over vengeance, healing over harm." The holographic displays showed scenes from across Kraxan space, former military academies converted to medical schools, weapons researchers now developing cures, warriors becoming healers. It was a revolution achieved not through violence, but through the inexorable power of medical science and human determination. High Commissioner Kex, once the military leader of the Kraxan, now their chief medical administrator, stepped forward. His presence here was itself a symbol of change, his own genetic modifications now balanced by the therapies he had once feared. "We sought to preserve our power by destroying knowledge," Kex admitted, his translator conveying the genuine remorse in his voice. Instead, we learned the true meaning of strength. The humans could have destroyed us. Instead, they chose to heal us, not just physically, but as a society. Diana thought of her last moments aboard the Mercy's Dawn, watching it die. Now she stood in a place that represented everything that ship had stood for, but on an even grander scale. The attack meant to erase human medical advancement had instead caused it to flourish beyond anyone's imagination. Let the galaxy remember, Diana addressed the assembly, that this station stands not just as a place of healing, but as a monument to a simple truth. The strongest response to violence isn't more violence, but an unwavering commitment to make things better. Above them, the station's quantum shields shimmered, not just protecting but actively healing any damage, a testament to how far human technology had advanced. The same principles that had disabled the Kraxan fleet now served to preserve and enhance life. Isabel's holographic form appeared, her presence a reminder of how humanity had evolved in other ways. New patient ships arriving from the Andromeda sector, she reported, including species we've never encountered before. Diana smiled. The attack on the Mercy's Dawn had been meant to limit human influence in galactic medicine. Instead, it had launched a new era of medical advancement that reached far beyond anything previously imagined. The hospital station was more than a replacement for what was lost. It was a beacon, drawing species from across the galaxy to benefit from human medical science. As she watched more ships arrive, Diana reflected on the true victory they had achieved. They had shown the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its capacity for retaliation, but in its ability to transform enemies into allies through the simple, powerful act of healing. The Mercy's Dawn had been destroyed, but its spirit lived on, stronger than ever. In the end, the Kraxans' greatest fear had come true, but not in the way they had imagined. Human medical science had indeed changed their society, not through force, but through the most powerful revolution of all, the choice to heal rather than harm.